Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on our first session of Thankful Tuesdays. So, if you are live with us right now, I dare you just to put in the comments that you are thankful because that's why we're here. And that's why hopefully you jumped on so I can share with you on tonight one of the key people in my life that I am extremely thankful for. As I shared with you on our promo video, I shared that, there's just some people that you come into their life or they come into your life and you're like, my life will never be the same since I met this person. And the person I want to share with you on tonight, because I feel like she is such a gift. So just remember that I gave you a gift tonight. Even if you don't know me, I'm giving you a gift tonight and you didn't even know you were getting something tonight. But before I bring her on, I want to just read. If you did not see my social media post, it's easier for me just to read what I said about her in the post. And this is the best way for me to get it out. So I said, I cannot wait to share this time in this space with the one and only Terril Bates. This is one of the most hand in your back and foot in your butt people and pushers that I have ever met in my entire life, both professionally and personally. She has challenged my thinking and my faith in more ways than I will ever be able to share. She is a resilient woman with backbone, and the woman's got grit. Let me tell you, she is one of the most tenacious and driven people I have ever worked for, and a risk taker who is not afraid to challenge any and every process. And I do mean every process. I have watched her open doors for so many people and was blessed to be one of them. So I am glad that on tonight, whether you are watching with us live, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube, and it may be that you come back and watch this later on demand, but whenever it is, again, I want to give you this gift tonight of sharing space and time with the one and only Terril Bates. So at this time, I want to bring her in.
So, Natalie, I have like tears in my eyes. I'm a gift.
You are a gift. You are the gift.
Appreciate that. I'm serious. That's like so humbling. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, thank you. And anybody that's on here, and anybody that watches this, they're gonna know like this is just, I've been looking forward to this time with you. And before I kind of dig in and learn more about you and let the people learn more about you, I just want to share a couple things with the audience and the people that are going to go back and watch this of why it is that I am so thankful for you. And you had to go first. Even my mom was like, yes, Terril's going first. My husband was like, I knew she was going first because you have just impacted my life in so many ways. But I want to share a couple things for those that may watch this that may be in a position of leadership. That's really where I want to start tonight because Tara was actually my boss for several years in two different states and two different organizations. And I'm just, again, blessed to know her. But I want to share these three things that I remember that stuck out that you might be like, honey, I don't even remember that. But I'm sharing, I'm telling on you. So, the first thing to everybody, when I transitioned out of coaching and I ended up starting to work in a new role, a new position, and Terril had hired me. So within the first 2 weeks of me being on her staff, I had to go to a training. I think it was in Philadelphia for this grant.
Yeah.
And so I go to the training, and y'all, I'm telling you, I was a broke as a joke when I got this job. Like I owed money on stuff. I was struggling because I had a gap in employment. And so I get to Philadelphia and we're supposed to get paid that Friday. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And we're supposed to get paid that Friday. So, I'm in Philadelphia, I know I can't spend anything extra because I'm on the on the company's money. So I'm like, okay, but I'm getting paid. Well, that Friday morning comes and that check is not in my account. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So I reach out to HR and they're like, okay, something's happened with the payroll. It was an outsourced system that we had. And so when they got it corrected, this is what was crazy. They corrected it. She made sure that they got it correct. But when they corrected it, not only did the money go in, then the money came in again. So I got a double paycheck. And she told them that they could not take the paycheck
Exactly.
out of my account. So I went from having no money to that Friday getting a double paycheck. So I just want to share that because this is an example of how she is as a leader. She will always make sure that she looks out for her team, no matter who gets mad about it and no matter who's got to foot the bill for it because they messed up. And so, my second one I wanted to share is this lady, you guys, can go from sitting at a boardroom table under pressure, making decisions that impact not only hundreds and thousands of people, but impacts millions and millions of dollars. And one of the examples is one board meeting, she was sitting there and she was in the process of helping to develop two deals. One was $59 million, the other was 62 million. She gets up from the board table and I'm like, okay, I wonder what she's going to go do now. So I'm like, you're good? Yeah, I'm just about to go run the Kohl's to pick up some clothes and stuff for the kids. And I'm like, what? Like, I'd be so stressed out. But that's just how her mind is. She can go from a boardroom table to feeding the hungry. She can go from signing a $62 million deal to making sure that kids are clothed. And so, as I've watched her over the years, it not only has impacted me, but it's changed me. And so, I had to have you on here tonight because of that. And the third thing I'll share is I also have a heart for people and wanting to love on people. And she gave me the opportunity not only to be her COO, but she would allow me to be the COO, but then also be the little coach for the girls on the run in public housing during work hours. And so she allowed me to serve kids, running in the community because they would not have had that opportunity, and they would have had to pay for it, and they couldn't. So she made sure we're paying for it. You teach them how to do their little running and stuff in the neighborhood, all while I was the opportunity to be a COO. So who does that? So I am introducing to you the one and only Terril Bates, who I care for so deeply, and I appreciate you because I'm doing this. And I know you and I kind of have different thought process on this, but I'm doing this because there are very few people, there are very few leaders. There are very few CEOs. There are very few women. There are very, very few Black women that when they get to walk through a door, that they always have on them, okay, who else can come through this door too? And you have done that. And I know that so many people have been impacted by you. And so I want to share you with everybody. And so tonight I'm going to ask you some questions and then you just share whatever you feel like sharing, if that's good with you.
I appreciate you so much. I feel like the show is really over. Like you
You
just told the
know, we should
story.
drop the mic right now.
Yeah, we could just stop now.
No, we don't need to stop. We do not need to
Yeah.
stop. So this is
Funny.
where I
Um,
want to start.
yeah,
Go ahead.
it's funny because you're talking about things that I never had any conscious awareness of, like, oh, I'm gonna do this. It was just our day to day and how things turned out that day or that week, or and certainly none of those things could have been possible without you, because you're the other half of this dynamicism that's happened between us. It took you being you to allow me to be me. And
Mm,
you've been around me a long time, and so you know that a lot of people that could have had kind of the same or similar interactions with me, they didn't have them. They weren't available to them. So I thank you for being available to so many things and so many crazy ideas and so many last minute changes. But you were willing always, and I am grateful to you. You were such a big help for me, such a big help for the community, and such a positive impact on my life too. You and Rodney.
oh, thank you. Oh, I know he's gonna be popping his collar that his name was mentioned. So absolutely. So look, let's start here just to give everybody the context. Terrell actually has worked in the housing industry, in development finance. I mean, she's been a housing industry leader literally for over 30 years and has worked in North Carolina, in South Carolina, in Las Vegas, in Detroit, in Michigan, in Florida. She has been, I would always say, she's the restorer of the breach. A lot of times she was brought in to correct the ship, to right size it. And so tonight I want to start with what has kept you connected to that field for so long?
Well, it's first of all, it's interesting.
Mm,
And as you know, because of like all the politics of it, the regulatory things, the funding things, the community things, it's ever changing. Like you never just know everything about the housing industry. There are always new programs, new challenges, new opportunities, new laws that come that you have to figure out, like how do I manage this? How do I get through this? How do I help? But the other thing is, and I think I've shared this a couple of times, a lot of times, there is this, it's in a book by Deepak Chopra, and it says, the other is myself just in disguise. So
mm,
when I look at the people that we help, it's me. It's me as a mom, it's me as a female, it's me as a Black person, it's me as a struggling person at one time, it's me as anything for any of the people that ever came through our doors. It's just me in a different situation, in a different time in my life. So i always um I always liked the people, even when, and better than anybody, I would laugh at anybody. I
yes.
mean, they did ridiculous things and I just laughed at them, like, you just did what? I
Mm,
still had, just a love for them because I never forgot who I was.
mm,
And even today, I remember always and encourage other people, like, just never forget who you are, even though your life situation has maybe improved, it's gotten a little better.
mm.
We're at the core, we're a human, a being. And it's not really about where your money came from or where you live or how you live. There's something in us that's greater than what's presenting itself. So I just always liked the people. I felt comfortable with them, and I enjoyed the work.
I love that because you're right. It's like being around your cousins, your uncle, your grandma. Like, okay, I can name some people, but I won't. And so with that, like you said, it's something that, it just really, I love that quote that you gave us because, and I wrote down that as much as I could, just, basically I'm looking at me, that's
Yeah,
basically what you're saying. So what led up to your life and career becoming what it was and what it is?
it was not planned. It
Mm,
was I needed a job. Like many of the people that I ran into, I needed a job, and I was offered a job, and I took it first as an inspector at a housing authority.
mm,
Um, I had two children that I needed to feed, and I remember during that interview, the executive director was telling me that, you know, he was taking his ruler. He was a white male, and he was doing like this with the ruler while he was interviewing me,
mm.
and telling me that he just didn't think I was right for the job. He just thought I wasn't the right person, and I ended up telling that man off. And I was like, how dare you? And I have two kids. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to get the job. So
Right,
I was going to tell you what I think about you now.
right, right.
Did. It was in Beaufort, South Carolina, and I had just moved from California.
Mm.
And he called me a Yankee. And he was like, you Yankee from California, you're not going to want to go do inspections. And I was like, how dare you? I have two kids I need to feed. How dare you tell me what I can and cannot do? And I mean, we just went at it. And I got up and left. And about 2 weeks later, he called me.
That's what I'm
So
talking
that's
about.
how that's how my career started.
Wow. Look, but that does not surprise me. That does not surprise me at all. And that's why I even said what I read earlier, that you are not afraid to challenge the process or to break any type of system that is out of order. And that is one of the things that, you taught me over the years, like, no, you don't have to do it that way. It doesn't have to go this way. And then you make sure that you stand up for yourself. So I'm so glad, I'm so glad that you shared that, but it does not surprise me. So you went from being an inspector, and so did you always know that you kind of wanted to move so-called quote unquote up in the business?
No. I honestly, then I just wanted to feed my kids. I
Mm,
didn't think about a career. I wasn't, I just wasn't thinking about anything. And I think I started there like around June. And in September, a lady that was, she was a Section 8 administrator, and she had been there for like 8 years. And she went to lunch one day. She just didn't come back. And that same guy, he called me over and he was like, I need to talk to you. I went, his office was in another place, and he just really flung a set of keys at me and said the lady's name and said that she left. And I want you to see what you can do with that Section 8 program. And that was how I was introduced to Section 8. And so it was never like, oh, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to study government, and, then I'm going to go into community affairs. Every step was just like the door opened,
mm.
and there I was.
This is what I want you to share too, because I've always thought this was really neat. Because I was going to ask you, you know, what would be something you would encourage, especially a young black female, on some things that she can do to really propel or be ready to be noticed in business. But I want to go back to this. What did you share with me one time? I couldn't remember if it was like C-SPAN, because I had asked you, I was like, how do you know how to just dialogue like that? You're always ready. As I said earlier, you're very sharp and very keen and know how to navigate tough conversations really well. And what was it that you used to do to prep for that kind of?
So I used to watch C-SPAN. C-SPAN has like a talk, it's a political talk show. And at the time, it's been a while now, it was mostly white males.
Mhm.
And at this point, I decided that I wanted to be a director. I went to a conference and I saw one female, and she had a director badge. And I was having coffee or something, and she walked by, and I looked up at that badge and I was like, I want to be that. But I noticed that everybody else was a white male. Like, this was, 20, 25 years ago. Um, so I would be like a little bit uncomfortable in meetings that I got invited to anyway. I watched C-SPAN, and they had this dialogue show in the morning, and they would have like political debates. And I just honestly listened to white men politely um, discourage each other. And I learned like how they spoke to each other and how nuances and
Mm.
insults happens, but how I'm just saying, black people, we just want to cuss each other out, white
Right.
people, white men, they just happen to know they can't do that in the boardroom. And that really helped me to listen to how they debated, how they disagreed. It helped my vocabulary, it helped me understand business and political terms. And then, the further I went up, as an executive director or CEO, the more politics became involved. And then, I did find myself at governors' places for, cocktails or whatever. And but I really believe that watching those debates, and not so much for the content, like I wasn't getting into who was at war, who was spending the money, but just how they spoke to each other, how they addressed each other, the cadence in the conversation,
Mm.
when things got heated, like where was that level of acceptable annoyance, where did it stop? Like just watching the nuances there.
I think that's good for us to know. I think that's a key thing. And again, if you're watching with us, we're so glad you're with us. But I do believe that that's key for us to know. As you shared, sometimes we may find ourselves in a good position, in a good space, but we don't know how to navigate that
Right.
space without, like you said, acting up. So my next question would be then, you know, how did you get to a space that you were able to be in, whether a heated conversation, whether having to lead a board, whether it could even be having to fire someone, whatever the case may be, where you had to have tough conversations, but then at the end of the day, you not take that home?
So I think a lot of times I did take it home. But and I think if you don't, something is not right, because when you're making decisions that impact someone else's life and you're not feeling it in some regard, then there's like a little barometer check maybe that needs to happen, because then it's because then I think the potential for an abuse of power
Good.
comes, when you can just, now I know often I would tell you leave it at the door, and a lot of things we should just leave it at the door and pick it up tomorrow. It's going to be there. Um, but I think that when you make the best decision that you can make, and you make it because it's the right decision, you're not making it from an egoic
Mhm.
kind of thing. And there's a book, you'll it's a Christian author, you'll like her, but it says, what you think about me is none of my business. And I got to that place of just making sure that whatever I did, like, I have to live with it no matter what you or anybody else thinks about it. And so when the decision is made from that space, yeah, I'm going to get flack from, any number of places, but if I made the best decision that I could at that time with the information that was available, then that was the best I could do.
Wow, really good. I'm really glad that you said the part about some things, yeah, you're going to take it home. Like it's impacting other people's lives when it comes to work. Because I've also seen you, I have proof, I've seen you on Saturdays, on Sundays with your little car up at work as the CEO all day long. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not like, well, I'll work on the weekend and take some time off during the week. No, then you turn around and be the first one there during the week. So when did your shift come to where you're like, okay, but I also need to have balance?
I think about maybe 15 years ago, and honestly, it started with an introduction of a meditation practice in my life that I
Mm,
maintain to this day. Um, so I always have that space that I go back to every day to like reunite with myself, I guess, and reunite with the divinity
yeah.
in my life.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really matter how many hours I work in a day or in a week, because every single day, no matter what, I mean, that's the first thing I do every morning and something I do every evening. I get back to that space.
That's good. I hope that's encouraging someone to know that, as long as you make sure you're carving out that space and time for you. And you're right, because it'll give you the energy to do what it is
Keep
that
going.
you need to do and not be drained by it. Some things we just physically get drained because we're tired. But as far as the energy to still be able to think,
Mhm.
one of the things that, of course, I listed about you was, five of the things, of course, that are loud to me is, of course, your connectedness, because you just have this very unique way of how you think about things, which I think is brilliant. But also your adaptability, like, you know how to change gears in the middle of, I'm like, I thought we were doing this, and you're like, well, we're doing this now. So so do you sense that that balance has kind of helped you, even that throughout your day, your ideas are there, your creativity is there, your flow is there?
So, there's like a school of thought, and it's called like a dance with the divine.
Okay.
So you can get to a place where that's like a constant in your life, because there's nothing new under
Mm-hmm.
the sun, from your Bibles, right?
Right. Yeah.
So everything that's possible for you to know is available. The question is, how available are you to what's available? And so I think that has been just a continual practice in my life, is finding that space where just, that little teeny drop of it is, in my opinion, it's divinity, just kind of makes itself known that it's there, and I have to get out of my way, to attach myself to it, to be able to know what to do in situations where I could not possibly have known as many things as have come up, and there's like no way that I know these things. I can't take credit for them. I can't say, I think you asked me, who inspired me. Well, I can't think of a lot of people, but I know that, and I'm grateful for knowing that there there is information available to me. There's activity available to me. There are all kinds of things available to me. But it really is about being available to divinity.
Oh, let me tell you something. So, if you're on with us right now, even if you watch this later, I want you to type that in the comments. She just said everything is available to us, but are we available? How
Mhm.
available are we? Like, that's a power statement. And so, again, another reason why I'm so thankful, because if I don't take anything else, I'm going to take that. Like, how available am I to what is available to me? It's all available to me.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. And I know that the majority of the people that, look at anything that I do, they're normally Black females. And so with that, I would want to know then, what is something else you would share with a young woman, older woman, it doesn't matter, to really kind of encourage them that maybe if somebody would have told you that at 20 years old, that maybe it would have woke you up a little bit earlier. What could you say to them?
I think one of the hardest things for us to do, whether we're, male, female, 20, 30, is to just accept responsibility for everything.
Mm,
Like, it's really easy for us to blame what doesn't happen in our lives on something, on our mom. We didn't have a dad. We're Black, we're poor. It was God's will, Satan's in the way. I
right.
think that if you get to the place where it's like everything that happens in my life is my responsibility, it doesn't mean that it's my fault. It
Yeah.
means my responsibility.
Mm,
And you can face yourself and all of those things hanging around, like head on, face on. First of all, you eliminate fear,
mm,
because you know that, if this thing is here, I have to deal with it, and I'm not going to pass it on. I'm not going to blame it on anybody. It's my life, it's my responsibility. And I think from that place, you just do have a freedom. You're not afraid. You know that whatever comes up, there may be a consequence, but you bought it on. You're going to take care of it. I
mm.
think just the fear keeps
Yeah.
us from being able to live, to have relationships, to take a chance with a job, to move, you know um and when we take responsibility, then we take accountability, and then we make better decisions because we know that there's nobody else to
Mm,
hold responsible for ourselves. And it shifts how you look at things. It doesn't mean that you're not partners with other people, or you're not engaging with other people. It just means that you're not going to give other people or situations control of you and your life and the decisions you make. And I think it takes it takes a lifetime to learn that. So if I could have learned that much earlier in life, I feel like I could have had a lot of other and better experiences.
mm. Powerful. That's really good. I know that I've been around you because last night I was in an interview, and they had asked me something, and whatever we were talking about, I remember my statement being, you know that if you're still blaming someone, you're still foolish.
Yeah.
But
I
when
mean,
you begin to take responsibility, that's when you know you're starting to wise up a little bit. So when you just said that, it connected the dots for me. So I don't want to miss this question, because I think this will be helpful for me and some others, because I love pulling on your wisdom. So you've been around so many different types of people. I can't even go around the countries that you've been to, the places that you've chosen to intentionally go to be around something other than what we're used to. I feel like you're all about exposure. Like, let's go see something different. There's so much more. And that goes back to that connectedness. So, with your experience of being around so many different people, so many tiers of people, so many nationalities. When you're around people, what usually is that light that you notice about someone that you're like, they've got it? What are some of the things that you notice?
You know what? I almost don't see that. I think it's the other way. I think it's that people, because I'm not really a outgoing person, believe it or I'm pretty much like a loner type person. I'm not really a very social person. I think that people just sometimes gravitate toward me, not many of them, and when they do, then I'm like, okay, we're here.
Wow.
And other than that, it's just like if I'm in a room, there's a purpose, and whatever that purpose is, then I'm there for that purpose and till I get to the next room.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Till I get to the hey, till I get to the next room. You know, this stuff really
Yeah.
excites me. But and so when you said that too, it also reminds me of a nugget that you gave me one time. It was about you, but I took heed to it because I felt like I had a similarity with this. And you shared, because I said earlier, I shared with everybody, you've worked in North Carolina, South Carolina, Detroit, Las Vegas, all these different spaces and places. So when you just said until I get to the next room, one of the things was you shared with me one day, just kind of talking. You're like, sometimes I think leaders can stay in a seat too long,
Mhm.
to where, whether their passion is dried out or whether their ideas have died out or they just might be maxed out to that place. So one of the things I admire about you and that I'm thankful for, because I think I'm similar to you in this, in that I'm not afraid to take that step or go after that next thing. I'm not afraid of it. And so I want to encourage somebody that if you sense that, you feel that and you want to go for it, you should. And you've helped me to, like I said, the hand in the back and the foot in the butt. Like if that's what you want to do, go do it.
Well,
So with that, help me to understand again and help those that are listening to understand why it was always important for you, even if you were the CEO, you were the top leader of that organization, that you didn't allow yourself to stay in that space for too long. And sometimes I know it would be, I think you said 5 years, 6 years, something around that time frame. Why do you think leaders should be aware of sometimes it's good to move on, even if things are going well?
So I think it's like not only leaders, it's just like in your life. So there's this analogy, and I recently I saw something about it on Facebook, but I've seen it a couple of other places. So it's a picture of a fishbowl, and there's a little fish in the bowl. It's a pretty little fish. He's in the bowl. He's happy. He's swimming around. The little fish knows that, somebody's going to feed him. Somebody's going to clean the water. I mean, he doesn't know how these things happen, but he's perfectly content. And there's nothing wrong with that,
Right.
right? And then outside of the fishbowl is the ocean. The fishbowl is in the ocean,
Mm.
and there's a big fish outside looking at the fish in the bowl, wondering, how are you living like that?
Mm.
So the little fish is happy in his bowl, and so there are people, I have talked about this. There are people that need to be, they need to stay in the community because it's their third generation, and the statue in the park of their grandfather. Like there are people that need to live that life, that they want to have meatballs every Wednesday, or meatloaf or whatever. They want to go to the same church for 40 years because their grandfather and great grandfather before them, they have that bench on that first seat.
My,
There's
my.
nothing wrong with that, right? Some people are content and they're happy and that life is fulfilling. And for other people, there's like, we have a lifespan of 100 years,
Mm.
maybe, if we're good, right?
Sure.
So, for some people, they want to spend their 100 years. They're going to have meatloaf every Wednesday. They're going to be in that seat every, Sunday. They're going to be buried in that church. And
Mm.
then for other people, they want to live from the ocean perspective.
My goodness.
The ocean is a little dangerous. I mean, there are sharks out there, the little fish, he doesn't have to worry about sharks. Nothing is ever going to touch him in there. But
Mm.
he's not going to see all the other beautiful fish, the coral, all the wonderful things in the ocean. He's not going to get to swim over to, Canada or wherever he wants to go. Just the opportunities and the possibilities for the fish in the ocean are bigger, but so are the risks, so
Yeah.
are the challenges. There's pollution in the ocean and things. beyond his control. The little fish in the bowl, he just has to wait for somebody to feed him and clean the water. So one is not bad and one is not good. It's just how you choose to live. Like, this life
Wow.
is short.
Yeah.
It's really short, right? But however you choose to live it and is satisfying to your soul and is satisfying to your mind is how you should live it.
Let me tell you something. You just preached a whole message, and and so I'm just gonna go ahead and put on the record that I'm going to use that. So I'm gonna give credit. She gave
But
credit to where she saw it. I'm
I
giving credit to where I heard it. And so that is interesting. And thank you for being very clear, because sometimes people aren't clear on that. The fishbowl, those that are, that's their jam, that's their thing. That is neither one is good or bad. It's just, but what really is the place that you should be swimming?
yeah.
And thank you for that, because I feel like I'm an ocean swimmer. Even
I
though
feel
I can't swim, man, I'm scary.
yeah, you're scared of water though.
I am. I'm scared of water. I'm scared of dogs. I'm scared of everything. But and maybe that's why. But I love that analogy. I think that ties it in really, really well. Oh, I don't even know where to go from there, because that is good. But I am thankful for this time with you tonight. I know that there are people that got something and will get something out of this. So I'm going to be asking people to share what those little nuggets were, because I want to be able to share with others everything that you've given us on tonight. Another thing, as we prepare to close, that I wanted to kind of tell you another visual that you gave me. There's two. So one of them, and everybody can relate to this because we all went through the year or year and a half of COVID together. And this was another moment that I sat back and watched you. That's me. I sit back and kind of watch people. I don't always listen to what they're saying. I watch what they do. And I remember that this was like COVID was hot, y'all. I mean, this was real COVID time. Like, only essential workers able to come out. At that time, you had to write a letter for us to have in our vehicles, just in case we got stopped by the police. At that time, we could show proof that we were essential workers to be able to work. And the reason why we're essential workers is because our boss, the CEO, I don't know how, orchestrates and partners with these people to drive a huge 18 wheeler into our parking lot, our little parking lot, with all of these fresh foods. I'm talking about straight out of the field fresh foods.
I remember.
And, us and the maintenance team and a couple other people were out there literally packing fresh foods. And I mean, packing bags upon bags. We were out there forever. And then we went forward to deliver food to every single door of families and elderly or disabled that we were serving. And that was another time that I'm like, I need to be packing more, but I had to sit in the moment and just watch what was happening. So to see you not only orchestrate it, but then you were right out there with us, hand in bag, making sure that we continue to serve others. And you never made it about us. It was always about somebody else. And I think you taught us this is what real service looks like. Yeah, we can go mow their yard, we can do all of that, but right now, this is the need. So I want to remind you of those things because they're so major. And then for months, we would pack full weeks of meals in a huge facility and then drive around with these big trucks. And y'all, I'm talking about, we're not just going to the door of the single unit. We're going to a 12-story building, like where you're having to go up and down stairs, so much so that we had people saying, "Hey, that's too much. I got too much food." But I want to bless you for that, because that stuff has never gone unnoticed. And one of the things that drove me crazy is that when you decided to take another venture, and I was still at the last place we worked with, everything we did, I was going to hear somebody say, "That's not what Miss Bates would do."
That's
Everything.
not good.
No, it is good. That's not what Miss Bates would do. Or something would come up and they were like, "I wonder what Miss Bates would do right here." So it's just a testament to whether, like you said, whether it's the inspector, whether it's the maintenance man, whether it's the Ross Grant coordinator, or it could be the director of development. It doesn't matter. Whatever tier that they were on, everybody knew that you were going to look out for us. Everybody knew that, regardless of the fact that you could debate, regardless of the fact that you were going to hold us accountable. But at the end of the day, it might be like, you better get it together, but come on, let me buy you some lunch. I mean, all in the same conversation.
Yeah.
So that amount of balance, I'm prayerful and hopeful that others will take this conversation tonight and take heed to start to allow yourself to become that for people, to where, and it has to be in you, and it's just naturally in you to do and to be. But I want to encourage somebody tonight that you might feel like you're the person that nobody notices. You're the person that you feel like you're doing the menial job. But let me tell you something. There are people out there you're meeting on tonight that is always in a position of high leadership, executive suite, C-suite, whatever you want to call it, but they see you. There's somebody that sees you, and I want to encourage that person tonight. So before we go, can you leave us with any parting words of just any wisdom that you would give us on this Thankful Tuesday?
You know, I think my parting words are just to again remind you how thankful I am for you. I had such a wonderful work experience with you. I almost never had personal experiences with people I worked with. I tried always to keep kinds of that line. And
Yes.
I appreciate you for respecting that, but then for allowing us to form a friendship over the years. And in that friendship, we never violated each other's professionalism. I think that's important for Black women to be able to be friends and still remember,
Mm.
that we have roles that we need to honor professionally, but that we can learn to be in a loving. I feel like, I don't have any sisters, natural sisters, but
Yeah.
if I had a sister, I would love my sister to be you.
Oh my God. Look, ditto. I'd throw that boomerang right back at you on that one. Look, I've got stories for days, but since you said that, I've got to leave you with this. This is how serious and real you are about what you just said. Although we work together, you always, and you taught me that too. This is a professional setting, and I don't know if you remember this. So, you guys, I worked with Terril in South Carolina, and then she decided to go and help another agency really come out of just kind of a rough space, because she's a restorer. She restores things back and then she maximizes them. That's what she does. And so she moved to Florida, and I'm like, well, dang, I didn't even get enough time to really embrace her and really learn more. So eventually I ended up with her, and I'll never forget this. I came for the interview. It was in April, and so you were sitting in the room with the HR lady. Your name was Shirley. And so you were sitting in the room with her. And so I kind of knocked on the door. And now, you guys, I'm there for the interview. But of course, I had worked with Terril before this. And so I'm like, so I go in the office and I'm all, hey, like, because y'all know me. I'm trying to hug. And she was kind of like, yes. And she looks at the HR. She was like, yes, me and Natalie have worked together before. But she was kind of letting me know, like, this ain't the time to be trying to hug nobody. But I was just happy to see her. So believe me, when she says she keeps it very professional, always has, always will, has always kept that, but in a way that if there's something else, hey, if we need to close the door, you let me know. But as far as anything else, we're here to do business, and we're not here for any other reason. So I appreciate that, because that's another nugget that you taught me. But I was like, dang, she just dissed me in front of the HR lady, but it's all good. I love it. Well, thank you so much. I feel honored to have had this night with you. Thank you for giving me your space, your time, your energy. I keep getting close to the screen like I'm about to grab you, but I need to scoot on back. I love you. Thank you for being our first special guest on Thankful Tuesdays, and I pray that you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much, and same to you. I miss you, and I can't wait to see you visit soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. Oh, you guys. I'm telling you, there is so much. And if you did not write some stuff down, you'll have the ability to go back and watch this again. There are nuggets in there, there are pearls of wisdom. I told you, I just gave you a gift. You don't owe me anything. Hey, you don't owe me anything for it. I just felt like being good to you tonight. And I do see that several of you have put comments in, so we will go back and check those out. But I had to share the one and only, I love to say the incomparable. There is none to be compared. There is no one like her. And so thank you so much. We do want you to go and subscribe to the channel. If you feel like it, do it. And then also, we do want to go ahead and introduce, we do have another special guest on next Tuesday. I actually met her as well in South Carolina, but it'll be a different type of interview. We never worked together or anything like that, but we're going to bring on Miss Kathy Rivers next week. And Terril knows her, so I know wherever she is now, she's probably smiling about that because her and I are probably thinking the same thing. So I'm so excited about having Kathy here with us next week. So tune in, same time next week for Thankful Tuesdays. And I want you to leave tonight and go tell somebody that you're grateful for them. God bless you.